What is going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football alongside of Ezra from Idiot Ezra, bringing you guys a 2016 NFL Free Agency edition of the Red Zone Blitz. Mouthful there. It's been a little while. It's probably been since before the Super Bowl, I think. So, we got the Broncos as world champs. Peyton Manning retires. And essentially what happens here is the whole thing just exploded at the quarterback position because you got Brock Osweiler signing with the Houston Texans and all kinds of good stuff, trade rumors, signings every which way. Let's get Ezra introduced here first. Ezra, lots of moves being made. Your Jets signed a couple players. How's it going?
First off, it's been way too long since our last show. And yes, my Jets got rid of some players and signed, that I'm aware of, one name that we're all very familiar with, but everything's good. It's a new year. The off season's here. That means it's the start of the new NFL year, and it's starting off with a bang day one. Today was a little quiet, but there's been some moves made by some teams, some really high price moves, and we'll get into that. And we're excited, me and David, to actually have a call-in feature now for you guys to able to call in to talk about your reactions to some of these signings in this offseason personally, more than just the chat room. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool yesterday to see as soon as it was 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Central my time, everyone says Happy New Year. As in it was as if it was, Happy New Year. It was Happy New Year. It was Happy New Year to the league year. And all the signings became official. Lots of big moves. You got all kinds of guys going every which way. Just kind of going down a list here. You had George Iocca re-signed with the Bengals at safety. Malik Jackson, everyone knows that move was made a couple days ago, but they signed him to a huge deal in Jacksonville. Alshon Jeffrey signed his franchise tender with the Chicago Bears. Janoris Jenkins and Olivier Vernon, now New York Giants. Those were two big moves for them. Who else? Marvin Jones is now a Lion. I mean, we can go down the list. There's a whole bunch of names that we're gonna hit hard. We're gonna take your questions. We're gonna take your guys' calls. And I think the first thing we need to do is we got to talk about Brock Osweiler, because I feel as if this might have been the biggest domino to potentially fall. And the reason for that is the Broncos drafted Osweiler 4 years ago to sit behind Peyton, to groom him behind Peyton, and essentially start him after Peyton Manning retires. That is not going to happen. Osweiler, for those who have not heard, signed a $72 million deal for over 4 years with the Houston Texans to essentially be their starter, which leaves a giant hole at the quarterback position now in Denver. There are trade talks going on right now between them and San Francisco to bring Colin Kaepernick to Denver. But let's tackle the Brock Osweiler signing first. Any initial thoughts, reactions there, Ezra? Maybe we can get your guys' reaction here if you guys want to call in or hit us in the chat box. But as Brock to Houston.
Initial reaction. Wow, a lot of money, overpaid. Are you serious? 7 games. He got benched because of performance, not injury, and he got this big deal. He was the prized quarterback. That just tells the market that was this offseason for quarterbacks, and just shows how this league is desperate for quarterback talent. For a guy that started 7 games, was benched because of performance, in a system that he was, not groomed for, because, Gary Kubiak wasn't there for the 4 years while he was sitting behind Peyton Manning, but he was there from the beginning. And he got this big deal. That just shows the lack of talent at the quarterback position. And I, for one, understand why John Elway said, all right, I'm not going to give you this type of money. I'll see you later. That's my initial reaction to this big-time contract that Brock Osweiler got.
supposedly Brock also was not returning teammates' calls, coaches' calls within the last 2 weeks. And according to John Elway, Brock Osweiler's body language indicated that he did not want to stay in Denver. There was, a lot of indicators, which is why I don't think Elway made that huge push to try and re-sign him. And he did come out and say he wants to have players in Denver on this roster who want to play for the Broncos. I think that might have been a slight jab at Brock Osweiler for not re-signing with the team and how he essentially kind of went out.
Well, I think that's a punk move by John Elway, to be honest. Just because I don't believe Brock deserved that contract doesn't – I'm going to take this statement from John Elway as truth. I think Brock would have came back if you would have threw the right amount of dollars at him. You threw a reported 3 years, $45 million deal. The man got a 4 year, $72 million contract. So, yeah, I would leave too. I think he's just saying this statement, one, because he's salty that Brock left, and two, he has to tell his fans something that, we just lost our first and second quarterback. So I think he was more of a defensive guy. He was a more defensive statement about this situation. But I got no problem with Brock that he took this contract. You're damn right. Even though I don't believe he deserves it, if someone offers me tomorrow $72 million to play quarterback, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve $2 to play in the NFL, but I'm going to take it. So I got no problem with Brock, and I think that was a salty statement by John Elway.
Might have been a salty statement, but if it is true that he wasn't returning people's calls on Brock's end,
which he doesn't have to. Guess what? You had him start for 7 games, and right before the playoffs, you pull him out and put it Peyton Manning again. I feel salty. I will feel a certain way. Like, dude, the offense was doing okay under me. It's not like Peyton Manning was lighting it up and such. How come I can't get the chance in the playoffs? How come I can't really get the keys to this franchise if you want me to be that guy for years to come? You made me the starter. You should keep me the starter going to the playoffs. So he felt a certain way, and I got no problem with that either. So if he wasn't returning calls, oh, well, guess what? You didn't put him in the starting lineup when he wanted to be starting. It's okay.
Let's get your guys' reaction on this. Throw it down in the comment box. If you guys want to call into the show, feel free to do so. The number is at the bottom right hand of the screen here. I'm going to head to the comment box here. We got Super Hippo 95, Petrie, Niners All Day, some regulars, Johnny Talks Sports, Kermit the Frog, A Assassin. Thanks for everyone so far who's tuned in, who's thrown down some comments in the chat box. A couple of your guys' questions so far that we'll get to eventually. Best free agent moves, biggest risk signings, who are the most overpaid free agents so far, who's the best free agents left on the market, how do you feel about losing Fitz Magic, Ezra? It's a question from Niners All Day. Who should the Browns target, RG3, Kaepernick, or Fitz, or draft Carson Wentz? These are great questions. We're gonna get to them shortly. And again, feel free to call in tonight. I believe the number is 347-541-3899. Best free agents left on the market is an interesting question. I mean, I'm assuming most of you guys have kind of kept up with who has been signed. Let me see if I can. Let me see. I have this filter here. Let me see if I can filter it by who's still available. Status. Let me see. Unsigned.
How do I feel about losing? Is it done? Is Fitzpatrick done? Is he on the Broncos?
Fitzpatrick is not on the Broncos. He is not on the Broncos. Last I've heard, he has kind of fiddled with the Broncos a little bit.
He hasn't signed to anyone yet.
Not yet.
So, okay. So Niners All Day. Don't, let's take it easy, okay? Let's not give a man a heart attack during a live show here. Even though, let's be honest, I'm not going to overreact.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, if the Jets were smart, they would re-sign him because I think
it depends on the. To be honest, like I tweeted this the other day, I would not cry depending on the replacement if Ryan Fitzpatrick is on another team. To be honest,
Well, who's going to replace him? Who's going to fill that hole?
Depending on the replacement. But looking at it, what's going on right now, man, I would be kind of scared right now, knowing what's left out there. If you're asking me what's the best possibility available guy right now, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm not a big fan of his, and I predicted his downfall a couple years ago. You know who I'm going with, maybe? Probably
RG3.
RG3 probably is the best available guy that I can think of for my Jets if Fitzpatrick is gone. Have him and Geno Smith, battle out in a training camp. I did tweet earlier, but like I said, this is an unrealistic hope. If we do lose Fritz, I would give Jake Locker a call. We know he
Jake Locker.
That's right. I would call. But what else is out there?
RG3 is out there, man.
RG3 is out there, and guess who? And the name I'm hearing about the Jets connected is your boy,
Mike Glennon.
Your boy Cap. No, your boy Cap.
Boy Cap, man.
Come on, that's your boy.
No, but before Osweiler signed his deal to the Texans, it was already established that the Broncos' backup plan would be Kaepernick, which I thought was extremely interesting. But I don't feel like I can see Kaepernick being successful after what we've seen out of him the last 2 seasons.
But you got to think about it like Cap on the Broncos would be a good fit because when he was successful, what did he have on the 49ers? How was that team built? They had a defense, dominant defense. Broncos, check. Run game, you have the running offense and a coach that's predicated on dedicating themselves on running the ball. That's what the 49ers did. Ran the ball really well with Frank Gore and Cap taking advantage of that. Check. So they have the makeup to make Cap, he doesn't have to run the team. He doesn't have to be the powerhouse. He doesn't have to carry the team like the past year we saw with Brock and Peyton Manning. They have the fundamentals. They have the foundation in place to make a quarterback look good. And Cap, I think, would be a good fit.
But on the same note, I don't think Kaepernick is anywhere near, the talent they've had in the last couple of years in Denver in the passing game. And I think if it comes down to it, you're going to have Emmanuel Sanders kind of getting pissed off. You're going to have Demaryius Thomas.
They really have no argument if you're winning games.
If you're winning games, fine. But I don't see how they're going to be.
And this would be the best wide receiving
offense.
Core. This would easily be the best wide receiving core Cap has ever had.
They don't. Yeah, but they don't. I don't think they have.
Dave.
Forget the receivers. I don't think they have the running backs to do
it.
But
who do they have? Who can they go after? There's RG3, Cap, Mark Sanchez, huh?
Mike Glennon.
But guess what? Mike Glennon is not going to be cheap.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
He's sitting behind
he's saying
Jameis Winston.
He's
what are they going to do with him?
He's sitting down. Keep him. You know why? As you know, as the Cowboys know, you need a valuable, good backup quarterback. That's what he is. He's on a cheap. He's getting $1.5 million. Mike Glennon. That's a backup quarterback. What's Drew Stanton making? About $5 million. Mark Sanchez is making $4.5 million. These are backup quarterbacks making a lot more money. You need a good backup quarterback today and forever. You always need a good backup quarterback because if your guy goes down, you need someone solid to come in and replace him. Why would you trade him? Why would you help other teams? The only way you're trading him is if you're getting a second or a third rounder. It makes no sense to give him away for a fifth when you're going to need a backup quarterback anyway. Am I right or wrong?
Yes and no.
Don't give me yes and no.
Colin Kaepernick is supposedly the Niners want a second-round pick. The Broncos would probably potentially give up a third. This is what I've heard. Mike Glennon, I don't think in most people's eyes is worth what
not
Colin
about being
Kaepernick is worth.
He's worth, I'm saying is to the Buccaneers, he's worth that. He's not worth giving up. It makes no sense to give up Mike Glennon for a fifth rounder. It makes absolutely no sense because now you're going to have to go out and spend money on a backup quarterback and someone that's not in your system. You have confidence in Mike Glennon. He's on a cheap rookie deal. Why would you trade him for a fifth rounder? To draft another quarterback in the fifth round? No, it makes no sense. You keep him because he's valuable to you on your team. And if a team, calls for him, say, I'm not taking a fifth. The only way I'm giving him up if you give me a second or third rounder.
Well, I'm just putting the names out there that have been connected to Denver.
And that's what I'm saying. Cap makes sense.
There's four right now.
Fitzpatrick is one I know.
Mm-hmm.
Cap, RG3. I don't know who the fourth guy is. I forgot who the fourth guy is.
Glennon.
Oh, Glennon. Well, I think out of the four, who do you
Out of the four right now, it's looking like Kaepernick. I think Kaepernick, if there was a horse race, Kaepernick's in first place.
And that doesn't bother. And you know what the good thing about Cap is, besides him having success with a team around him, is his contract is structured in a way where if he doesn't do good, you can release him and there's no dead money. There's no guaranteed money you have to give him. It's the base salary. If he has a bad year, you go draft another guy next year, or maybe they'll draft a guy this year and mold him. So it makes sense to go after Cap, but I'm not giving up a first rounder. Someone suggested if the Broncos do give up the 31st pick for Cap. No, I don't think the Broncos are going to give up the 31st pick for Cap.
No.
I certainly wouldn't.
No one's giving up a first-round pick for any of these quarterbacks. No one's probably even giving up a second-round pick. It's just not going to happen.
So stop hopping on 49ers all day. We're talking about the Broncos, bro. Okay?
Well, there's a lot. Apparently, there's Raiders fans in here who's got a couple of them.
We're going to talk about the Raiders, and I like the Raiders. But it doesn't mean the first subject is going to be the Raiders.
Hold on now. Let's make them a subject because Denver's in that same division.
Yes.
Denver no longer has this almighty quarterback who's going to terrorize that division. They have a hole there. They're at this point in time, they are vulnerable. Who's the best quarterback in this division? I'd probably say Phillip Rivers, but for whatever reason,
ain't no problem.
Okay, all right, fine. Phillip Rivers. They finished 4-12 last year?
Yes.
3-13, 4-12. They're drafting third overall in this draft, which means you did pretty bad this last season. Okay. Oakland, young team. I think they're on the rise. Kansas City has that 11
5 years straight. Okay.
No, they're on the rise, man. I'm telling you.
They are on the rise. The Raiders have the talent. They definitely better compete for that. I won't say for the division because I think everybody will, even though they lost, it looks like they're going to lose their running back also. They lost their starting quarterback and now running back. I still think people will have them up there as the favorites. But point being is they've taken a hit.
The signings.
The Raiders better compete for that division next year.
No, they have to. The signings, the three guys that they went out and get, I thought potentially top 20 guys in free agency overall. Kalichi Osemele, the offensive guard from the Ravens. Sean Smith, the cornerback from Kansas City, and Bruce Irvin at linebacker from the Seahawks. Now you have Bruce Irvin, Khalil Mack, one on each side, terrorizing defenses there. You got Sean Smith in the secondary, and then you got Osemele at guard who's going to protect Derek Carr. I thought those were three great signings. I like those three signings over the two big signings the Giants had in Janoris Jenkins and Olivier Vernon, only because I thought Vernon got overpaid. So I thought the Raiders so far in free agency, and they also had money to spend. Let's not forget that. I think between them and the Jaguars, they were the two teams who had the most money to spend, and they went out and did it. And they got three big name free agents who I think could definitely help this roster. So I thought the Raiders did so far they've done a great job.
You know what I love about the Raiders so far this offseason was that Bruce Irvin signing. I thought that was beautiful. Put him with Khalil Mack. They added another young linebacker, pass rusher. I really love that move right there. I thought that was one of the most, they're not going to talk about the move too much. I thought it was a very underrated, very good move, and he didn't get a big-time contract like some of these guys are getting.
I'm content with my Niners not spending in free agency. How do you feel about your Packers, or feel about your Packers doing the same, Dave? Well, for my Packers, they do it every year. There's no one who's going to come in. No one's going to get signed. So far, the Packers have re-signed Mason Crosby. They re-signed a backup guard in Lane Taylor. Sorry, Lane Taylor. And they just re-signed Nick Perry to a 1-year, $5 million deal. I'm used to it. It's no big deal. I think Ted Thompson GMs the team perfectly. I don't have any complaints. I like it. More comments have trickled in here. Bird Gang 559 is now in the building. Welcome back, Bird Gang. And again, feel free, guys, give us a call, 347-541-3899. We're taking phone calls tonight.
Yeah, we're going to take calls in 5 minutes. We should be up and going, but that's why we're talking about the subjects right now, the topics, and I know you want to call in and talk about your team, and we'll take that in a few minutes. But what do you think about this? This is a bunch of B, C rated players getting these big time deals, and I know it's because the cap went up and there's a market. You know, when there's a market and the lack of talent, these guys are going to get the big time money because, you know, there's no A free agents, except the only one that maybe I'm being biased. The only A free agent that I can really think of was Snacks Harrison, who went to the Giants, and he got a nice deal. But some of these guys, like Jackson from the Broncos, he's probably the 6th best player on that defense, 7th best player on that defense, got this monster deal. You got Vernon from the Dolphins, who went to the Giants, got a monster deal. Brock, monster deal. None of these guys are A-list players getting these monster deals. Oh, okay. Alex Mack is an A-list player, but center. He's one of the top centers in the league. He deserves that shout out right there. But look at the tight ends. I don't know what the Saints are doing, giving Fleener, what was it, $36 million? Something like that?
36 over 5 years.
I'm like, are you serious? The Saints why are you getting offensive players when you have the worst cap situation in the NFL, the most dead money? And shout out to James Carter TV. I can't believe all these players that are getting this money. I understand why, but it's crazy.
Mohamed Sanu also signed, I believe, today with the Atlanta Falcons on a 5-year deal. So he's going to be teaming up with Julio Jones and replacing Roddy White in Atlanta. Let's read off some of these bigger signings. I'm going to try and read off as many as I can. Damon Harrison, I think you just mentioned him, went from the Jets to the Giants. William Hayes re-signed with the Rams. Joe Howard re-signed with the Chiefs. Malik Jackson to the Jaguars. Tremaine Johnson signed his franchise tender with the Rams. Marvin Jones to the Lions. Doug Martin re-signed with the Buccaneers. I think that was a 5-year, $35 million deal. Brandon Maben, the defensive tackle from the Seahawks, signed with the Chargers. Here's an interesting one. Brad Nortman, the punter from the Panthers, signed with the Jags to replace Brian Anger, who was drafted 5 spots ahead of Russell Wilson in the 3rd round 4 years ago.
Ooh. I think Janoris Jenkins, who the Giants, Jerry Reese, man, is he at a strip club or what? The way he's making it rain on all these players. You're not at Sin City, bro. He's out here just giving it out. What happened? Tom Coughlin needed some of these free agents for the last couple years. He's putting it all on the line because his job is on the line. But Janoris Jenkins from the Rams, I thought this was a great signing by the Giants. I like this player a whole lot. He doesn't get a lot of praise because, you know, he was playing in St. Louis, but I like that pickup. And now that makes Prince, who when healthy, I think he'll be a nice pickup, whoever picks him up. I don't know if the Giants are going to re-sign him or not, but Prince, I think, will be a solid, underrated move, whoever picks him up.
No, I think with them having Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie and now Janoris Jenkins, I think that makes him expendable. I think Prince Amukamara finds a different home, which there's still a lot of corners, I think, on the market right now, including Casey Hayward of the Packers. Couple more signings that we haven't really mentioned so far. Danny Trevathan, the linebacker from the Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos, is now a Chicago Bear. So that was an interesting signing. We've already mentioned Olivier Vernon to the Giants. Jeff Allen, the offensive lineman from the Chiefs to the Texans there. Brandon Brooks from the Texans to the Eagles. He's the offensive guard. I thought potentially one of the best linemen available in free agency. We mentioned Kobe Fleener to the Saints, Matt Forte to the Jets. Tamba Hali re-signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Richie Incognito re-signed with the Bills. Chris Ivory signed. Chris Ivory got paid. He got paid. I thought he got overpaid.
To go
to Jacksonville.
I agree with you. Guy had 1,000-yard season. I really like Chris Ivory. I thought he was really good for us for the couple years he was with my Jets. But I tweeted from the beginning of the free agency, I do not mind if he's on another team. I really want a Lamar Miller, okay, who signed with
the Texans.
And that's the guy I really wanted. That's the guy I really wanted. And Chris Ivory, happy for him, but I think he got to. The Jaguars, they have to overpay. No one wants to go to Jacksonville, so they have to overpay. Happy for him. And the Matt Forte thing, I'm not overly excited about it. I know he has a nice skill set, but he's 31 years old now, and that's dinosaur years for a running back in the NFL. But I think it's going to be a running back by committee, and I like the signing as long as not as I didn't see the numbers. Have you seen the numbers for Matt Forte?
It was 3 years, $12 million. It was fairly cheap. I was actually a bit surprised. It's $4 million a year. So, got a collar over there?
Yeah, but for my laptop, I had to change the security on it. We're gonna get that caller in a minute. I'm telling you, we're gonna get that caller.
All right. Let's keep going down the list. You got Lamar Miller from the Dolphins to the Houston Texans, Rodney McLeod, the safety from the Rams to the Eagles, Alex Mack, the center from the Browns to the Falcons. Everyone knows Brock is now a Houston Texan. Mohamed Sanu, as mentioned earlier, is now a Atlanta Falcon. Mitchell Schwartz from the Browns to the Chiefs. Derek Shelby from the Dolphins to the Falcons. Sean Smith from the Chiefs to the Raiders. Issa Abdul Quaidus is now a Miami Dolphin, formerly of the Detroit Lions. Dwayne Allen re-signs with the Indianapolis Colts. Jermaine Bushrod is now a Miami Dolphin. Michael Griffin, formerly the Titans, now a Minnesota Viking. Bruce Irvin now with the Oakland Raiders. And I'm going to read off a couple more. These are some of the bigger names. Let's see here. Mario Williams, now with the Miami Dolphins. Travis Benjamin, now a San Diego Charger. Alex Boone, the offensive guard from the Niners, is now a Minnesota Viking. Adrian Claiborne re-signs with the Atlanta Falcons. Travis Lewis, the linebacker from the Lions, is now a Viking. Rolando McClain re-signs with the Cowboys. Leotis McKelvin from the Bills to the Eagles. And J.R. Sweezy, the offensive guard from the Seahawks to the Buccaneers. Those are some of the bigger names so far in free agency. Not all of the names. So there may have been, some that have been left out. But, I kind of noticed a lot of names from Seattle have kind of made their departure. And I'm going to go to the Seahawks real quick and see some of the guys that they've lost, kind of make a tally here really quickly. A couple years ago, everyone's talking about the Seahawks. Seahawks, I don't know. Have they fallen off a little bit? Brandon Mabin, Bruce Irvin, J.R. Sweezy, and that's it so far. But Russell,
who you think so far? I know it's only day 2. Has absolutely been demolished.
The Browns. The Browns. If there was a team that could not afford to be demolished, It was the Browns.
The only thing that bothers me about the Browns so far off is they're losing their offensive line. That was their only true strength on this team. And they're letting go. Well, I don't know if they made a strong enough push to re-sign Alex Mack and their guard. Man, the Browns, the Travis Benjamin, don't bother me too much. Stuff like that. But the offensive line, that's where, man, and they haven't picked anybody up in free agency, which I'm not going to kill them for, because me and you believe in building a team through the draft. So We'll see what this new regime is all about. I guess that's what their focus is the draft. I don't know if they tried to get in contact with anybody, but that's what they're trying to do.
We have a caller there.
Yes, we do.
All right, let's see who's on the line. Give us your YouTube username.
They hung up.
If possible. Oh, they hung up. All right.
You're gonna hang up. You go call and hang up.
Hey, if you're gonna call, give us your. Oh, that's not one of the YouTube guys. Go ahead, Ezra.
Go ahead. Yeah, I need them to call back if they wanna. Don't hang up. I try to hit answer and you just hung up on me. Man, you're a meanie. But yeah, the Browns, man. And someone answered, where did the Dolphins get all this money from? That's Mike Tannenbaum, baby. He makes it happen. He just makes it happen. That's why I did. Well, I like him as a general manager. He was very aggressive, but he goes a little too hard sometimes in the paint. But we finally got a first call.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Say your YouTube name, say where you're from, and say your favorite team. And they hung up again. They were on call, and they hung up again.
I think it's Bird Gang, and I think he's playing.
Is he trolling
joke on you? Yeah, I think he's trolling you, man.
Is he trolling me? I answered. He was on for 13 seconds, and then he hung up.
Anyway, if you guys want to give us a call, 347-541-3899. Call into the show. We'll take your guys' questions.
Uh-oh. James.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Is this James Carter?
I can hear you.
Oh, it's James Carter. Yeah, it's definitely James Carter.
Yeah,
I know that
my guy.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is definitely James Carter.
Yeah, it says Tennessee, so you know it's James Carter.
Yes, sir. Nashville, Tennessee, represent Tennessee Titans fan. But really, I don't really care about my team right now. They made their moves on time with my move. But I have a question for Ezra. Right.
Yes, sir.
Who is going to come back the Jets in 2016?
Right
now, you guys have Geno Smith. I know you're in like a holding pattern with Ryan Fitzpatrick and whatever, and I'm surprised he's not getting more interest from the Broncos and the Rams right now. So I guess it's looking like he might come back. But I'm surprised at how nonchalant this whole situation has been with the Jets in the quarterback position right now.
But if the Jets, this is my situation with the Jets. The Jets, if they wanted him badly, they should have locked him up before the offseason started. They should have locked him up maybe as soon as we lost week 17, negotiate a contract, get it done. But now that he's seen Brock's contract, his numbers skyrocketed. Because before, I think he was asking about $15 million a year, and the Jets were offering $8 million. Now that he sees Brock getting $18 million, he's like, what has Brock done? I got 31 touchdowns this past year. So my number has gone up to $18 million, and he probably wants about 4 years. He probably wants the same contract Brock just got. And if I'm the Jets and I am with them behind 100% on this, I'm not giving Fitzpatrick that kind of money. I'm just not. He had 2 good years out of the 10 in the league. I'm not willing to give it up, that kind of money. I understand it's in his favor because we have slim pickings. We got no one really to. I just made a suggestion before you got on. I said, you know what? If Fitzpatrick goes to the Broncos, I'm calling your former quarterback, Jake Locker.
No.
No, right? You don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
That's the situation the Jets will be in. And then I said, maybe RG3 or I'm hearing that Colin Cap a lot more than RG3 in the last, since a month now. And now this is starting to heat up a little bit because, but that market is going up also for Cap.
James.
Now, here's
James,
like what I'm thinking
James
here.
hear me?
The New York Jets, I'm sure they would love to believe that, they went, 10-6, 9-7 this year, 10-6, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they would love to believe that, okay, we're just going to have this linear growth. We're going to go 12-4. We're going to be a Super Bowl caliber team, whatever. That's great to think. But you got to get this quarterback situation solved out because if not, man, you guys are going to, I hate to say it, but you may be looking at a decline in 2016 because this is the most important position in the NFL. And right now you have nothing. I don't trust Geno Smith. I know his last game, Miami, 2014, he had a perfect pass rating, whatever. I've seen enough from him. I don't trust him. Get that situation figured out.
Well, I agree with you. But before I elaborate on that, David would like to ask you a question.
I want to make sure he can hear me first. James, can you hear me?
James, you can't hear David?
Oh, no, I cannot.
Oh, he cannot hear you. So what's the question?
Ask him. Ask James and see what if he's heard anything about Zach Mettenberger being traded.
Have you heard anything about Zach Mettenberger being traded or anything like that? Is he on the market?
Okay, now here's the thing about this whole Zach Mettenberger crap. Actually happens with a lot of people. Look, I heard you guys talking about Mike Glennon earlier. I think we really overestimate a lot of these players' value on the market. Zach Mettenberger absolutely sucked in 2015. He was absolutely god-awful. He had a ESPN QBR of 13.9. He had a passer rating of 66, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He was absolutely god-awful. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if anybody traded for Zach Mettenberger. No one wants Zach Mettenberger, trust me. I mean, he was absolutely god-awful. You would be much, much better off is drafting any quarterback this year and having some sort of potential there. I mean, he was absolutely god-awful. Well, Mike Glennon actually has some sort of trade market out there. Maybe he could be traded for a sixth, something like that. But a guy like Zach Mettenberger, they would love to trade him. I mean, if someone would offer something, I'm sure they'd do it in a heartbeat. But no one wants Zach Mettenberger. He was absolutely god-awful in 2015, and no one wants anything to do with him.
Well, that answers your question, Dave. He doesn't believe, Well, my thing about the Geno Smith situation, I understand that nobody has any trust in him. I barely have any trust in him myself. The thing is, like you said, he had that last game with the Dolphins. Not even that only. Let's not forget, he actually beat Fitzpatrick for the job this past year, but then IK came out of nowhere and gave him the KO. And, some people's minds, he saved the season. He was the Jets MVP. My silver lining is hopefully he has improved, and he's in a system which I think fits his skill set. No one's going to believe that. No one's going to trust that. I understand that. But Jet fans might have to understand he might be our starter heading into next year. The good thing is there's a draft coming up. So we might draft our future guy, or you know what? They might be aggressive to trade for someone. Thanks, James, for the call. Appreciate it. You got to love the channel. And congrats on, I think, was it 5,000 subscribers? Congrats, bro.
Thanks. It's not 5,000 yet, but we're getting close. Thanks for that.
Well, you guys need to make it to 5,000. You need guys. There's more than one. The way James be flipping out on people, he don't play around when it comes to his Titans, but you guys need to check out James Carter TV. Big-time Titans fan, and he tells you how it is.
I'll tell you what, though. If if Ryan Fitzpatrick gets paid, which I think, somewhere along the line, someone's going to give him a decent contract, he needs to give a little bit of that money to IK because he made it happen. Get him a watch, right? Get him a watch, take him to dinner. Get him something.
Yeah, at least, you know what, I think it was Dwayne Wade that got Kobe a year subscription for Netflix. Maybe he could do the same thing for that. Give him a year subscription, maybe at least Hulu or something, right? Commercial-free Hulu. You just can't get him the regular Hulu account. Commercial-free.
Do you guys? This is coming from Justin. What is this name? Justin at OMG Get Cash or so. Anyway, he asked, do you guys see the Giants as a dream team 2.0? Because it didn't work so well for the Eagles a while back. I'm not going that far. They signed 2 big names, and one of them, in my opinion, got overpaid, and that was Olivier Vernon. I think Janoris Jenkins probably deserved that money or somewhere in that vicinity. I think he's a great young cornerback. Olivier Vernon fits the scheme in the 4-3 that they play, but this guy got paid for 5 years. I don't necessarily think he deserves $52 million guaranteed.
You know what I find hilarious about him getting paid? He's a solid player, but you got Sue, who got that big time contract last year. We know he's a monster. You got Vernon, who made this $52 million guarantee. You got Cameron Wake, who's a multiple time Pro Bowler. They have so much talent on this offensive line, but they were a complete bust last year together. Can you imagine how the Dolphins, if you would have put all their contracts together, is probably the most expensive defensive line in all of football, and they did absolutely nothing at all last year. Isn't that funny to you? Vernon, he's a B-rated, C-rated player.
And he got paid.
He got paid. He's up $52 million. That's probably the 4th biggest.
I heard something like currently it might be the second highest amount.
It's something crazy. J.J. Watt is upset.
No. You know who's going to get paid?
Oh, Von Miller's happy.
Von Miller is going to. There's no way Von doesn't hit at least 20 a year.
Von is going to crack. He's going to crack 60. Guarantee he's going to sack. He's going to crack that 60 easy. He's going to get at least $65 million guaranteed.
I think so.
That's it. And guess what? To be honest, I don't think Von Miller's going to be worth that much. I don't think he's worth that much.
Well,
I think he's going to get it because he is an A-rate player. Okay, he's the name. He's a Super Bowl MVP. But if I'm a team, I wouldn't give him that money.
Von Miller. Here's the thing with the salary cap. Every year it rises, and every year what else rises? The floor. There's a floor that each team has to meet in order to be in compliance with the NFL salary cap. It has to be a certain percentage of their entire salary cap has to be spent. So that's why the Raiders and the Jaguars, they're not going to sit on this $70 million cap space that they have. They have to spend it. They can't not spend it. I think somewhere around 90% of your cap for every team has to be spent. That number keeps rising. Players are going to keep getting paid. So, to me, this year, I think more than any year, we saw how crazy the quarterback position is. Chase Daniels, $21 million over 3 years to be a backup in Philly.
Well, they said he's competing for the starting job.
They came out today and they said otherwise. They said, nope, Sam Bradford's number 1. We brought Chase in to be the number 2. And they just wanted to put it at that. But I'm not buying that.
Maybe he's leading. He's the number 1 guy going into training camp. But what I read was he's going to have a chance to compete for the job. And you know what? That doesn't bother me. Well, hey, if it goes by salary, guess who will be the starting quarterback? Where will Russell Wilson be today if Pete Carroll went by salary to put starters? Remember when Matt Flynn, he had that big deal that same offseason? Then they draft Russell Wilson. Training camp came along. No, Russell Wilson had the best camp. Sorry. So, but that's incredible. $12 million guaranteed. And what did I tell you earlier in the beginning of the show? I said, you don't trade Mike Glennon. If a backup quarterback is getting $12 million guaranteed with the potential to make $36 million, obviously that means if he, starts and everything, backup quarterbacks are getting paid nowadays. Okay, we got King Llama said Von Miller has to get 21 million, and we're getting some Raiders talk. We've been getting some Raider talk all show. It seems
Well, that's
like
because I think between them and the Jaguars and the Giants, those are the three teams that are being talked about as winners so far.
They're signing everybody. It seems like. Well, the Giants seems like Bruce Irvin, Sean Smith, and the offense. I can't even pronounce this dude's name. Offensive tackle from the
Osemele.
Say that again.
Kalichi Osemele.
Kalichi.
Kalichi.
Let's keep it like that. That sounds like a gangster name, right? Kalichi, or a wrestler or something. But 26-year-old left tackle from the Baltimore Ravens. You know, he's a physical guy.
He's a versatile guy.
Versatile guy too. The Raiders, I like what they're doing. Okay, like I said, I really love the Bruce Irvin move. And even though he's not an A-rate guy. Okay, he's not a special player, but he could do a lot of things for you. He's a very good pass rusher, young guy. Well, not young. He's 29. But my point is, I really like the signing to put him with Khalil Mack. So,
we're talking Raiders right now, and someone's asking about Eric Weddle, Gurnak Cinch. Who Eric Weddle sign with? I heard the Raiders are working on a deal with him right now. I heard they're talking to Eric Weddle. So
he would love to play for the Raiders because he hates the Chargers. Eric Weddle, he wants some sweet revenge. So, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Matthew Stafford was about to have 50 INTs this year without Megatron, just to lob it up to. I don't think Matthew Stafford, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Matthew Stafford, if you watch this show, you know this already, but he's not a bum. He's not a scrub, okay? He's still probably a top 13 quarterback in this league. I don't even like him, and I wish my Jets had him. Scoop his ass up right now. Call me. I'll drive to Detroit and pick him up. They trade for him.
Here's an interesting question because we've gotten a couple questions about the AFC South now. This is from Twitter. Kevin Davis from Twitter says, thoughts on all of the AFC South teams' moves so far as a whole? Give me some power rankings for the division thus far. And then you have, I think that's Q's Nation 32. Think the Jags have a really good chance to win the AFC South next year. Which is interesting to me because I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, if I had to pin a team who had played better than their record, I think it was Jacksonville. They finished, I think, at 5-11. But, the team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, showed a lot of promise. Bortles started looking like that franchise guy that they drafted him to be in the top, in the third overall pick a couple years ago now. You got Allen Hurns, Allen Robinson.
They got the Allen brothers. Man,
they were causing havoc.
Yeah.
And then they draft the running back, the rookie out of Alabama last season. His name is slipping my mind, but TJ Yeldon. So they got pieces there. Now they add more in free agency. I like what they've done so far. I think one name we have not mentioned was, I think, Tashawn Gibson, the safety, who's now a Jaguar as well. So kind of a little bit of a rebuild there on defense. Last couple of years, they've signed some bigger names. So, Jacksonville could be one of those teams that makes noise. Now, I know if James Carter's still watching, if I had to rank the teams in order right now, I think I have to go with the team that has the best quarterback in that division first. I'm going to put the Colts up there. And then maybe Houston. If Brock plays slightly above average, you have J.J. Watt on defense causing havoc. I think the Texans could be 2. I'm going to put Jags at 3 right now and the Titans at 4.
I tend to agree with you, and I'm going to say this division is no longer a cakewalk. Okay, even though I don't think the Jaguars, even though they signed a lot of defensive players, you know me, I do not believe in off-season champions translate the following the same year. It does not translate well, usually doesn't. And they're signing a lot of guys in the defensive side of the ball here, big-time money. I think their defense will underachieve based on the dollars they're spending, but that offense, that duel, that young chemistry on the offensive side of the ball will be the foundation to lead that team towards competing for that division title. So it's now no longer a cakewalk. No longer a cakewalk. But I might go with the Houston Texans as the best team in the division. Okay, I might have to go with them. Because what have the Colts done for what have they done for Andrew Luck this offseason? Did they get offensive linemen? Did they sign anybody yet? As of right now, today, I know the draft is not up yet, but the Colts, what are they doing for Andrew Luck? What are they doing for this young stud? I don't know what's going on right now.
The only thing that's happened really is they've lost Kobe Fleener to the Saints, and they
lost both
re-signed
of their
Dwayne
tight
Allen.
ends, which they got big money.
No. Dwayne Allen got re-signed by the Colts.
Oh, okay, my bad.
But nonetheless, here's the thing: the Colts, Andrew Luck, just injury-plagued season last year. 3 seasons before that, you were talking playoffs every single season, wild card, divisional, and AFC Championship. So, I mean, I think...
Yeah, but that's when the division was a cakewalk. When it was mierda, okay?
Okay, I understand, but at the same time, the quarterback position, again, for the millionth time, is the most important position.
Yeah, I agree
and
with
who
you.
has the best quarterback in that division?
You're right. I totally agree with you, but you're putting everything on Andrew Luck's back. They still have no running game.
Why was he drafted first overall? Why did
Just because Aaron Rodgers is the best. Why is he losing? Because he needs a team around him. He needs some help. Okay? The man needs some help. Okay, how great you are. You need some help. You need some talent around you. And the Colts have done absolutely nothing. And even though I'm not a big fan of Brock, I am not. Okay, believe me, I'm the one slamming this insane contract that he got. He's got to be better than whatever crap they had. They have 4 quarterbacks last year play for them. And I absolutely love the Lamar Miller pickup. I think he's going to have a stellar year. Pick him up in your fantasy team. Pick him up. Another fantasy pickup that I love, and he's on my dynasty team, Marvin Jones on the Detroit Lions. Oh, man. Oh, I got him for cheap dollars, too, in my dynasty league. I love it, baby. Woo. Oh, baby, Marvin Jones.
So what happens with Arian Foster, I think, is a question that we should ask everybody.
He's done. He's finished.
Think so?
They released him. Didn't they release him?
Yeah, he's released, but I think another team is going to end up signing him.
If I was, if I'm Foster or if I'm a team, you don't go. The league does this for some reason. They sign these old vets to rebuilding teams. He needs to go to a contender. You don't think Arian Foster will look pretty nice in a Patriots jersey?
Someone has to. They don't have anyone at running back.
Obviously, you're going to have him. If you're going to have Arian Foster on your team, you need to have a capable backup. You need to have a running back by committee. But Arian Foster on the Patriots sounds like a match made in heaven. Match made in heaven. Emmitt Lewis next year? Huh? I think that'll be. I'm the Patriots. And I know the Patriots are probably gonna, give Foster a call or something like that. And Niners all day, smart. I wish we could sign. Niners all day wish he could sign Marvin McNutt. But I think Marvin McNutt, I think soon he's going to be a president of one of these, teams. He should run an organization. Maybe that's why he's not on the field, because he runs everybody. So he might as well run the team.
Feel free, guys, to call in 347-541-3899. We're taking your guys' calls tonight. James Carter from James Carter TV already called in. Appreciate that. We haven't discussed the Dolphins trade now. This Kiko Alonso, Byron Maxwell trade, which ships those 2 guys to the Dolphins from Philadelphia, while both teams swap first-round picks. Dolphins give up the 8th pick Eagles swap the 13th pick. So now you got the Eagles at 8. You got the Dolphins at 13. Personally, my opinion, I actually thought the Dolphins got a decent deal. If you don't base it off of the draft value chart, you move back 5 spots. You pick up, in my opinion, Kiko Alonso, a very, very good player when healthy. And then Byron Maxwell, they have to take on his contract, unfortunately. And they also have to kind of buyers beware with his shoulder because supposedly he couldn't do push-ups or couldn't bench press, but he's denying that report. So, Byron's going to start at cornerback. Kiko's going to start at linebacker. You got 2 potential – I'm not even going to say potential. You got 2 starters there. All it took was move back 5 spots. And you never know. I mean, with the draft, how it is, you can still get a really good player 5 spots later. So I actually liked what the Dolphins did there. I
like both sides of it. I understand the money side for the Dolphins. It seems like they're going to put themselves in cap hell in a couple of years, but they're pushing all their chips. Seems like in the, Mike Tannenbaum is just a very aggressive general manager, but I like the move. Like you say, picks up a young linebacker who's productive when on the field. That's the, big F. And Maxwell, he's a capable cornerback. He's just not a Joe Hayden. He's not a Revis. He's not a, Peterson. He got paid like one, but guess what? His contract is actually looking more like a bargain. Each day, it looks like more of a bargain how these players are getting paid and the salary cap went up. So I think his contract has softened a little bit going forward because of these new deals. And I love what the Eagles did. They're getting rid of players they never got, but this new regime, and they went up in the draft. They went from 13 to 8th. You got to love what the Eagles did. They shred a bad contract in their view and went up 5 spots in the draft. So either way, I think is a big win if you're either of these fans, so I think it's a win-win. And that doesn't usually happen in trades, and I think this is one of those.
Yeah, and then they would have to think about restructuring his deal.
Well, they would
think
Byron's
deal.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Byron will do it, and especially if he's seen these players getting paid like this, he might take his chances in free agency. I doubt it. Well, but he might.
Bird Gang 559 asks, what did the Eagles get for DeMarco Murray? This was interesting to me as well. The Eagles and the Titans swapped 4th round picks.
They're just getting rid of a deal
just to get rid of DeMarco. And I thought, and I think the Titans have restructured that deal as well. If I might be wrong on that, if I'm wrong on that, correct me. But I think they restructured his contract as well. All it took was to swap 4ths, and now they have a starting running back in Tennessee, which the Titans were the worst rushing team in the league last year, hands down. They did not have a guy who separated himself on that roster to really say, hey, I'm going to take on this workload, and I'm going to be your feature back. Nobody did it. They bring someone in, swap 4ths, and that's all it took. So
yeah, hopefully he has a bounce back year. But what did I say a few minutes ago? I don't like when young teams that are rebuilding want to get veteran guys, stuff like that. Well, like big contract guys. But I think DeMarco Murray has a lot more in the tank than Foster, so I won't put it in that same category. But it's fringing right there. But I like the move either way. And once again, the Eagles move up in the draft by shredding a contract and a guy they don't want. So the Eagles, on a lot of accounts, are having a nice offseason because they're rebuilding, going up in the draft by getting rid of players they don't want. So yeah. That's a big, that's a very underrated. No one's going to talk about the Eagles having an awesome offseason because it's not sexy on paper, but if you really look at it, man, they're getting rid of players and going up in the draft. That doesn't happen too often. Some people might question Chase Daniel getting a big contract. They might question Rodney, this free safety, getting a big contract. But these are players they are getting by trading other players.
So far for the Eagles, Brandon Brooks signs with the Eagles.
Guard, yep, and
Guard.
they signed a corner.
They
Ron,
signed Leotis McKelvin
and Ron Brooks. He was from
and
the
Ron
Bills.
Brooks,
Yes.
both of them from the Bills. And they signed Rodney McLeod, also a safety. So 3 secondary guys there. They signed Chase Daniel. They signed Centavius Jones, who's a wide receiver. He was cut by the Saints. And they signed Nigel Bradham, who's also from the Bills. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 Bills players who are now Eagles. He's the outside linebacker, who I think is going to take Kiko Alonso's spot. So they're working. They're working on some smaller deals, except for Chase Daniel. That one still puzzles me, but I don't know. I thought so far the Eagles, interesting moves. Not what we saw a couple years ago with the whole dream team, and not what we saw, within the last 1 or 2 years with Chip Kelly going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, getting rid of Macklin, getting rid of McCoy, getting rid of Deshaun Jackson. You imagine if those guys were still on this team? Those guys can still play. Those guys can still play.
You're right. What I think was he's not a big name, but I think he's going to be a great asset to the Steelers. Latavius Green, tight end. He got a 4-year deal, 4.7 signing bonus. I think he's going to, after seeing what the other tight ends got, or Dwayne Allen and Fleener with the Saints, this was an absolute steal. I love it for the Steelers. If you're a Steelers fan, you're going to love this guy on your team. Big Ben is going to love this guy.
Yeah, I thought that was a good move. I thought he was
another great fantasy pickup.
I think Fleener was probably the best tight end available. I think Green was this number 2, and I think Dwayne Allen was number 3. But they had a hole there after Heath Miller retires. They went out and filled it right away. I think he's going to produce big time now with Ben Roethlisberger there. So, as if you can excuse me just 1 minute, I'm going to have to go for just a minute. I'll be right back, all right?
All right, guys. So while Dave's stepping away, you guys could call me at 347-541-3899 here at the Red Zone Blitz, talking about your teams, your free agents, and this offseason free agency day 2. We got Chris Long. We still got some big names out there that are free agents. You got Chris Long. You got Foster. You got Mike Wallace, who's still only 29 years old. Brett Grimes, who just came from a Pro Bowl season, the last 3 years, actually. Eric Weddle. Leon Hall, the cornerback. Well, he's 31 as a cornerback. That's pretty old. You got Russell Okon. Antonio Cromartie, he's a name, but he's not the same player that he was. I like Prince. I'm telling you, Prince Amukamura. I totally botched his name. Is Prince Amukamura. There you go. I have to say it real slow. Prince Amukamura. Botched that again, but that's not the point. I think he's going to be a great signing for anybody. You guys can laugh at me. Andre Smith, another tackle. So you have some productive players out there that are going to be signed for reasonable prices, man. And I think the names, if we're going to go for reasonable prices, I think Prince is going to be a reasonable price. I think Mike Wallace, but you got to put him with a big gun. You got to put him with a big arm. Mike Wallace, the last couple of years, he's with quarterbacks that just does not take advantage of his talents, which is the speed. Maybe he'll go back to the Steelers. You know what? Why not? Go back as the third string. Well, he won't even be the third string over there, would he? Yeah, he would be the third string. Oh, yeah, because you got Bryant, who took his role over. So the Steelers don't even need Mike Wallace. Maybe the Jaguars, because Blake Bortles has got a gun on him. How are you liking that Reavers contract now, Ezra? I always knew it was a big time contract, big deal. Most cornerbacks are not worth that kind of money, especially at his age. Yeah, it won't look. Each year is gonna look worse, but I have no problem with it, man. I still don't because I'm biased. I love Darrell Revis, man. Do you see the jersey I'm wearing right now? Do you see this jersey that I'm wearing right now? This is 24 Revis. How am I liking that contract? I'm loving it. He's in a Jets jersey. He shouldn't have left. He should have got that contract 3-4 years ago, but it is what it is. He's still the best cornerback on the Jets, and he's still a top 5, top 6 cornerback in this league. So, yeah, he's overpaid, but he's still a top guy no matter what. So that don't bother me too much. Let's just hopefully we get a quarterback, which, that's the big problem. The Tennessee Titans, you know what? Tennessee Titans, I like their offseason so far. They traded for DeMarco Murray. They went for, they're upgrading their offensive line by signing a center by getting Ben Jones from Houston Texans. And then you pick up a wide receiver. You got Matthews. Rashid Matthews, had a decent year last year with the Dolphins. Mostly they have to get better through the draft. That's how they have to develop, is through the draft. That's how you rebuild and build chemistry with a young team and going forward and growing together. So, the 2 signings they had, the Titans, nice. They shouldn't be signing 17 free agents in the first place. I don't believe in that, philosophy. So I'm going to say yes. Nice offseason so far for the Titans. You definitely got to upgrade. You got to help. You got to help Mariota. You got to get him, which they did, a weapon, a guy that's a slot guy with Matthews. Really like that. I think it fits his skill set, and then you need someone to protect him, Ben Jones. So, yeah. Who do you think will win the AFC West? I'm still going to go with the Broncos, as I know with no running back and no quarterback, I still have them. They're the Super Bowl champs. They're a dominating defense. Their coach can manufacture a ground game because his system's that good. I think the Broncos are still the favorites to win the AFC West. But the Raiders have the talent to challenge them. And obviously the Chiefs, hopefully that defense stays hot. But I think Raiders, second best team, Chiefs 3, and Chargers 4. My boy David back yet?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm reading the comments right now.
They were just talking about, they are slowly building a beast offensive line. I think he's talking about the Titans. King Lam. I'm not sure which team he's talking about. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. Depends on who the quarterback is in Denver, but right now, you can't answer that question with certainty.
You can't answer any question. You can't answer any question with certainty right now because it's day 2 of free agency. The draft hasn't happened. There's so much going to happen towards that September. From here now to September, is you can't. It's just we're talking about today.
But again, the fact that, like I said earlier in the show, that the Broncos drafted Osweiler, groomed him behind Peyton, and probably expected him to be there after Peyton retired to be their starting quarterback. I don't necessarily think they were 100% expecting him to leave.
I don't think they were 100% sold on him either.
Yeah, but now that he's gone, it's like, well, the only quarterback on the roster's last name is Seaman. And you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, man. Denver, you're in trouble, man. You gotta find a quarterback.
A McNutt and Seaman connection would be awesome in the NFL.
Oh man, Seaman to McNutt for the touchdown.
Here we go again.
It's possible.
It happens all the time. You can't have a McNutt without Seaman.
This is getting X-rated real quick.
That's what we're talking about. Players. We're talking about Seaman and McNutt. Okay, those are NFL.
What's
players.
His name? Isn't it Matt Seaman or something like that?
I have no idea. You just said it.
It is. That's what his name is.
Matt Seaman.
It's something. Let me look it up.
Something.
Broncos quarterback. I don't know what the heck. Let me see their roster here. Golly. See if I can find their roster. Here, I'm going to do that. Broncos roster.
All I'm saying is they have everything besides the quarterback and running back position. Like, relax. You act like that's tough to find.
QB. His name is Trevor Seaman out of Northwestern. He was a rookie this last year. So, I don't know, man. Call into the show, 347-541-3899. We want to hear somebody say, give their opinion. Ask us a question. Do something. We got like 15 minutes left before we got to head out. If there haven't been any questions answered, there haven't been any topics addressed, throw them down in the comments below or give us a call. Interested to hear what you guys have to say. Q's Nation 32, what do you think the Jets should do at middle linebacker next to David Harris?
I don't think we should have re-signed David Harris last year.
Johnny Talks Sports. It's pronounced Simeon. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's Seaman. I think you were just, that's why you were.
No, I heard somebody on TV say that.
You sure you was watching the NFL channel or a different channel? Or a different website?
Simeon.
Did the website start with X?
Oh, you know what? It wasn't TV. It wasn't TV.
It was a website, wasn't it?
No, it was Mike and Mike, I think, on the radio.
Oh, man. Who do you think the Giants should do? Okay, the Jets should do at middle linebacker. They're trying to re-sign Henderson. I think, and let me see. Did they re-sign him? I know they were thinking about trying to re-sign Henderson. I don't think they got that deal done. Aaron Henderson. I think that's the guy they're trying to re-sign. That's who they're targeting right now. So, but if we don't get anybody in free agency, you draft a middle linebacker. I don't think it's a huge need for that scheme. Okay, it'll be nice to have a really nice, speedy. We need more speed at the linebacker position, especially the outside. One of our top free agents is Calvin Pace, and he's 35 years old. And the guy they're letting go, they released Jeremy Curley, who I think they underutilized last year. I think this is a complete mistake on their end. I think he's going to be a fantastic pickup for any team looking for a slot receiver. Jeremy Curley will produce for any team that he's picked up by for the slot position. But, middle linebacker, I don't think is a big concern for the Jets, and it shouldn't be. So I think that's someone you could draft. Obviously they have to get someone at the quarterback position, get more speed in the outside, and you have to get yourself probably another cornerback. Maybe, I don't think cornerback. I think we might have the solution at cornerback already on the team. You got Buster, who could probably fit that number 2 spot, but I would like to keep him at slot. Maybe bring back our first-round draft pick from a couple years ago. That was the 4th guy last year, D. Milliner. Maybe he can fill in that spot, cornerback. And you're going to shake your head no, but why not? He won't be asked to be the number 1 anymore, and he had a year to be humbled and learn under Darrelle Revis. Obviously, I want them to sign a veteran cornerback, but I don't think they have to go all out and sign a big guy to a big contract. D. Milliner, I think he might be the solution. He might be.
I think D. Milliner was a bust. I think he is a bust, and
he didn't really get much of a. I don't want to go that far. Based on his production so far, yes, he's been a bust. But giving the chances he's got, I don't think I don't want to consider him a bust just yet. This year, if he doesn't do anything, all right, I'm with you 100%. If he's still, I don't know if he's still on the team. It looks like he's still on the team. I don't see him as a free agent.
Yeah, I think he's on. He's still on the Jets, but
I would like to get younger at the offensive line, but that's
it's been interesting so far. I mean, as a free agency overall, but I think this year it hasn't been as exciting as I thought it would be compared to other years. in free agency.
Well, the names are not there. There's just
Right.
there's no sexy names out there. It just isn't.
Let me read off a couple of, I guess, rumors or whatever you want to call them. The Union Tribune, San Diego confirms that the Raiders are interested in free agent safety Eric Weddle. According to the Houston Chronicle, new Texans running back Lamar Miller had grown weary of being underutilized in the Dolphins' offense, which I think
holds true.
Is true because, he averaged 15 touches per game last season. He's got like 600 or 700 touches on his career in Miami. He's good,
He's still a baby,
right?
In terms of touches,
right,
in the NFL. So, this is the guy I wanted Lamar Miller on the Jets. I tweeted this several times. Bye Chris Ivory before he signed the deal with the Jags. Bring in Lamar Miller. If we're gonna spend money on a running back, I'd rather Lamar Miller. Obviously, that didn't happen. He got himself a nice little contract too, and I'm happy for him. And I think he's gonna have a big year with the Texans.
The Dolphins agreed.
Oh, forget
Byron
it.
Maxwell agreed to reduce his 2017 base salary by $1.5 million. But I don't know if that's going to help him this year at all. He'll get an extra $2 million of his now $8.5 million base salary guaranteed in exchange. I don't know if that's going to help their cap now, though.
Unbelievable. I said a few minutes ago that Jeremy Curley is going to help a team at that slot position, and he's in the talks with Kansas City Chiefs. Forget it. His numbers is going to look terrible. Oh, my God. Why would you
don't like Alex Smith?
Why would you go to Alex Smith? Come on, Jeremy. Go to somebody that's actually going to get you the ball.
Jermaine Kearse.
You're
Jermaine
right.
Kearse.
You're right. The Dolphins already restructured Maxwell's contract. Mm-hmm.
Jermaine Kearse re-signed with the Seahawks, 3 years, $13.5 million. Man, I wish I was an NFL player for like 2 years. That's all I would want.
That Kearse re-signed with the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Draft question from Kevin Davis on Twitter. Do you think Ramsey goes first overall to the Titans? I don't. I think that's way too high. I think Tunzel goes there to the Titans if they don't trade down. But I think there's a chance they trade down. I think there's a chance that a team, someone who's gonna want to ensure that they get their guy, trades up with Tennessee. Tennessee trades down a couple spots. And I think that's more possible of where they would take Ramsey than at first overall.
Well, we didn't talk about this either. C.J. Anderson and the Dolphins agree on a 4-year deal. Obviously, the Broncos have because he's a restricted free agent, have 5 days to match, but it looks unlikely because there's a front. The way they worded the contract and a team must agree on all terms seems unlikely they'll resign him. But the Dolphins are just very, aggressive. Just very aggressive, man. They traded for, as you said, Maxwell, and Kiko Alonso. They signed Mario Williams, and now they agreed to C.J. Anderson. They're like I said, they're putting the chips on the table.
Yeah, but I'm not sold on the Dolphins. They've done this year in, year out.
Bears still trying to trade Martellus Bennett, and they're meeting with Gresham. I'm trying to see. Chris Long expected to decide on next team soon. Has interest from Cowboys, Falcons, and Redskins. I'm reading this stuff on NFLTradeRumors.com. Cowboys re-signed Josh Thomas to a 1-year deal. Let me see what else. Patriots are bringing in James Stark and Clay Harbor for visits. Speaking about that, your Packers don't ever do anything in free agency anyway. Falcons, Falcons get Sanu. The Bengals lost a lot of free. They had a ton of free agents first off, and no one's talking about the Eagles. They're down a couple of their weapons. Marvin Jones, Sanu, very solid receivers, are not there anymore. All you have is AJ Green, and they still have some weapons on that team. Obviously, they got AJ Green. They got their tight end, who had a big year this past year, Tyler Eifert, right?
Eifert, yeah.
And you got their running backs. But they need another wide receiver. I mean, maybe Jeremy Curley would be a fantastic fit. With the Bengals, Jeremy Curley, I need to be your agent. Holla at your boy.
They've lost 3 players. They lost Sanu and Jones and Emmanuel Lamour. I don't know how you say his name.
But they had about 20 free agents.
They had a handful, but they've re-signed George Ioka, who's I think the biggest name on the list.
They re-signed Adam Jones. They re-signed Vincent Ray. And they still got their.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they got Leon Hall, who's a free agent. They got Andre Smith, who's a free agent. Reggie Nelson. Did they re-sign Reggie Nelson?
No, I don't think they're gonna re-sign him.
So those are starters. It's not like they're losing backups here. They lost, but they're gonna lose about 5-6 starters in total. The Bengals are going to taking some hits.
Well, it's getting about that time. Got 5 minutes left. Let me know. Let me see here. We got to pick our MVPs.
I already got my MVP.
You do?
Yep.
Who's your MVP?
I'm going with James Carter TV.
Oh, snap.
And you know why? He was the only one that called in tonight.
You know what? I'm giving James Carter TV my MVP too.
He was the only one that called in tonight and spoke to us. Thank you, James Carter TV. And he runs a cool-ass YouTube channel. You love your sports, and he does a ton of videos. You should go check out James Carter TV, his channel. Good guy, man. And he's a Titans fan. He's loyal to his garbage franchise. You gotta be, you know how patient and strong-willed you gotta be to be a fan of the Titans. And it's not like James Carter was enjoying the successes of, because James Carter's pretty young. How old is he? How old do you think do you know how old he is? Maybe not 19, 20?
I don't know, 19, 20 probably.
Okay, the Titans were good 15 years ago. He was 5 years old when they have like Steve McNair. All his life all he knows is suffering. And he's loyal to that garbage franchise. He's probably not listening at this point, but he'll kill me later on Twitter if he hears this. Oh, well, now we got a phone call from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's Who's going on? What's going on? You don't want to talk? They trolled. Those people from Wisconsin. They don't know how to act up. They don't know how to act over there.
I guess not.
Did you just troll me, David? Because I know you're from Wisconsin.
No, my phone's right here,
You
man.
just trolled me, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, they'll call in and be like, and
Petrie's a Titans fan? Oh, man, he's probably... Now we got a call from California? Oh, okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on here.
Someone wants the MVP tonight, man.
Oh, they hung up.
Oh, they hung up too. Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, I go.
This is fun.
Oh, man. I don't think Bird Gang is allowed to call in tonight.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Bird Gang has been saying all kinds of crazy stuff.
And Bird Gang never acts like that in the chat. Maybe it's his brother or his little sister acting like, as in Bird Gang's YouTube. And I have a feeling California is a bird gang, even though he's an Arizona Cardinals fan. Should we take a chance? Let's take a chance.
Awesome.
I hear the video. You're gonna have to lower down the video and talk to us. Oh, they're so scared. You hear the hang-ups, right? They're scared.
All right. Anyway, guys, we're gonna call it a night. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Thanks for James Carter for calling in. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. We got the draft coming up, so that's something to look forward to. I hope we can get a draft show at some point in. Stay tuned for draft profile. Stay tuned. I think I'm gonna do a mock draft at some point. I think Ez is still doing. Ez, you still doing videos on YouTube?
Sporadically. I'm doing I got a new podcast, but I shouldn't suggest it because a lot of you guys are too young for it because they're very explicit. And I talk about randomness and there's non-sports. But if you do want to check it out, it's called The Idiot and Brian Show on Spreaker. Okay, you should check it out if you like, but please don't play it in front of your parents. You shouldn't even listen to it. 18 and over, explicit. That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say. That's all we got to say. Thanks for tuning in to the Red Zone Blitz, everybody. Petrie, Niner all day. Johnny Talk Sports. Mild, the gaming kid. Bird Gang man doing a lot of swearing in the chat tonight. But we'll catch you guys later. Everyone else who tuned in, appreciate it. We'll be on at some point again. Stay tuned to Facebook and Twitter. We'll let you guys know when we'll be on. That's all we got for you guys tonight. We're out.
McNutt.